Okay, I want to do Unit 4, review number 4. We're going to talk about issues dividing the nation in the first half of the 19th century, which is going to be the 1800 to 1850, okay? Sectional tensions, and remember, sectionalism is something that Washington warned us about in his farewell address, along with political parties and foreign alliances. So we're going to go through a number of sectional tensions. The first is going to be caused by competing economic interests, okay? Specifically tariffs. The North is going to favor tariffs because they're industrial, right? And high protective tariffs then protect northern manufactured goods from competition from foreign countries. And the South is opposed to high tariffs because tariffs, which are taxes on imports, make the price of imports go up, and the South doesn't manufacture much. All right, so that's tension number one, economic tariffs, okay? Sectional tension number 2 is going to be caused by westward expansion. All right, as new states entered the Union, compromises are going to have to come about to maintain a balance of power in the Congress, and specifically in the Senate, because there's equal representation. We're trying to keep that balance of power between free and slave states equal, because the free states control the House. This is the only way for the South to oppose any anti-slavery legislation, okay? So some of the compromises that come about, number one is the Missouri Compromise, or Compromise of 1820. Missouri will enter as a slave state. Maine will be a free state. We'll draw a line through the Louisiana Purchase at 3630, line of parallel. All right, and anything above that line will be free, excepting Missouri, which is above that line. All right, and this is proposed by Henry Clay. The next compromise is the Compromise of 1850, also proposed by Henry Clay, where California enters as a free state. The southwestern territories gained from Mexico, the Mexican cession, will be granted popular sovereignty. The people will vote to choose on whether they want slavery or not. The slave trade will be banned in Washington, D.C., and will institute a very new, very harsh new fugitive slave law, all right, which the North will really, really resent. All right, then we'll have the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854, proposed by Stephen Douglas, which will repeal the Missouri Compromise line, giving people in Kansas and Nebraska the choice of whether to allow slavery or not, which again is popular sovereignty. This law will lead to bloody fighting in Kansas. Bleeding Kansas will be called between pro and anti-slavery forces, all right? It will also lead to the birth of the modern Republican Party that year, and the Republican Party main platform will be the opposition of the spread of slavery, all right? And we're going to look at this as parties switch platforms and change their bases throughout the history of the nation. All right, so that's sectional tension 2, westward expansion. 1 was tariffs. 3 will be debates over the nature of the Union, all right? This goes back to South Carolina again. They'll argue that sovereign states could nullify laws, specifically the Tariff of Abominations or the Tariff of 1832, and other acts of Congress, all right? And Jackson will disagree with this, right? Because a union allows states to invalidate acts of the national legislature could be dissolved by states seceding from the Union in the defense of slavery, right? And this is that nullification crisis, okay? Jackson's going to threaten to send federal troops down there to collect tariff revenues, and this issue will be resolved. And remember, the nullification, we have a system of checks and balances, right? And the job of the judicial branch is to determine constitutionality. So in our federal system, where powers are split between national government and state governments, and inside of our checks and balances, this job's already done. It's not assigned to the states. It's not in their power to do, okay? So nullification will come back a number of times, and it is invalid. Then we have the big ones, the sectional tensions caused by the institution of slavery. We'll have slave revolts in Virginia led by Nat Turner and Gabriel Prosser, which will feed Southern white fears about slavery and lead to a harsher slavery in general, and the end of the abolitionist movement in the South, and an increase in the abolitionist movement in the North. We'll have abolitionists like William Lloyd Garrison, who published The Liberator, increasingly view the institution of slavery as a violation of Christian principles and argue for its abolition. And we'll have the fugitive slave laws that will pit North and South against each other. So slavery is going to divide the country. We'll see this with, you'll remember Harry Beecher Stowe, Uncle Tom's Cabin, the Underground Railroad, and Harriet Tubman, okay? A whole bunch of these things, all right? So these are the main issues dividing the nation. And we could throw women's suffrage in there also, all right? Seneca Falls Convention, the drive for women's right to vote as dividing the nation also.